Welcome to Dig Deep, the mining podcast. In this podcast, we go deep into mining news, hot topics, and live interviews with mining professionals and leading figures in the mining industry. Introducing your host, Rob Tyson, founder and director of Mining International and Mining International Executive, a leading global mining recruitment and headhunting agency.
Hi, mining community. Welcome back to another episode of the Dig Deep, the mining podcast. And today's guest is John Passalacqua, who's the CEO and Director of First Phosphate, a mineral development company fully dedicated to extracting and purifying phosphate for the production of cathode active material for the lithium iron phosphate battery industry. And they hold 1,500 square kilometers of land claim in Quebec, Canada. John is an international business strategist with over 35 years of experience in technology and capital markets, and he's going to give us an overview of First Phosphate and what is happening in the LFP battery space, and he's going to give us an overview of the company and what the future holds. So that's welcome, John, to the podcast. How are you doing, John?
Yeah, I'm great, Rob. Thank you for having us.
No, I appreciate your time as well. As we always start these podcasts off, I wondered if you can give our audience a little bit about background about yourself, about your career, what you've done and achieved up to sort of when you graduated to sort of present day.
Oh, geez. Okay, that takes me back a while. But you know, I've been involved in stock markets for a number of years. I've run my own private business. I used to be an internet entrepreneur as well. In 1998, I had certain portal websites around the trade show industry, and I was a little bit recognized worldwide from a business-to-business marketing standpoint on the internet. Then also from there, I sort of pivoted back into the trading world. I was running my own successful, medium frequency trading strategies. And then about 2015, I started up my own family office and been investing in a lot of private companies and public companies since then. But this is really the first time that I decided to take on the challenge of being CEO of my own public company, if you will. And that's how we got the First Phosphate. We had a company that was, it was a shell. We were looking for assets. We purchased some phosphate assets in Quebec right into the company, some of the rarest form of phosphate found in the world. By scientific error and discovery and error, we went out and we were actually looking at phosphate for the agriculture industry, but then we found this really interesting niche in terms of the LFP battery, lithium iron phosphate battery in phosphate, and no one really taking good care of it. So we thought that was a really interesting entry niche for phosphate. And we entered a phosphate market for the LFP battery, and the rest is history.
Right. Why don't you just give us an overview of First Phosphate as the company, perhaps when it first started to where it is today?
Yeah, so it started about June of 2022, just with an idea, and purchased some claims from a third-party company. And then we went ahead and we sort of locked up all the claims in a district, in a large phosphate district around the port of Saguenay, about all the claims that were known about 200, from 0 to 200 kilometers north of the port of Saguenay. And so, that became the basis of the company. And the company is now dedicated to, extracting and purifying phosphate for the production of LFP cathode active material for the lithium iron phosphate battery industry. And, we're really focused on, getting a mine in production and producing concentrate, phosphate concentrate, and then working with partners to take that phosphate, make it into purified phosphoric acid, and eventually into lithium iron phosphate powder. It's the battery material that goes into the battery cells and the battery packs. And that's, a really big opportunity. And it's a business that very, very conservatively should be 18 billion by 2030. There's, very little players in the market in North America, and it's something that we have to build out very quickly here because, obviously the Inflation Reduction Act, supply chain issues, and the rest of it.
Why don't you just tell us a little bit about the LFP battery and what is happening in that space with the supply chain?
Yeah, so the LFP battery, I think it's important to understand is, it's a lithium ion battery in the same way that, a nickel manganese cobalt battery is a lithium ion battery as well. It functions in the same way with the lithium. Generally the LFP batteries will take a little bit less lithium, sometimes up to 50% less lithium than the NMC batteries, which is great. Can make more battery, and it's also less expensive. There's less lithium in it, and then the iron and the phosphate are less expensive than the nickel manganese cobalt. So these batteries sometimes get to 50 to 66% more cost effective than the NMC homologs. But the problem is, if any, is that there's a little bit less of a power to it. But it's great for city driving. It's great for small and mid-range kind of driving. So we're getting a really nice kind of complementary backdrop emerging between LFP battery and NMC battery, in that NMC battery is still really up there for very high power uses, longer driving distances. But the LFP battery is just perfect around the 300 to 350 kilometer driving range. Anything that's a medium to entry level use. They're all moving to LFP battery now. LFP batteries are 50% of all battery chemistries out there, moving higher even, because there's a massive push towards mass adoption. And to get the prices lower, the LFP battery is what's bringing down the cost. When we talk about a battery in a regular fossil fuel car, it's a little greasy thing in the corner. But when you talk about a battery in an electric vehicle, what people sometimes don't realize, and which I didn't realize too in the beginning either, is it's really the whole motor, the whole engine, the whole apparatus that drives the car. And in a vehicle where cost reduction is paramount, that sometimes can occupy 50% of the cost of the vehicle. So if you bring that down by 50% to 66%, wow, you bring down the cost of your vehicle by 20 to 30%. And we're seeing a lot of price competition, especially with Tesla and Ford and other companies, is in using the LFP batteries to get the prices down. But also there's a component of fire safety. They've got a really good fire rating that's really important. Nobody wants to see any more burnt cars on the covers of magazines. And also they're longer lasting, they're more stable, and it's finally a product that they think that they can start putting a warranty on, which is really the holy grail of the automobile industry, right? So warranty.
Just wondering if you give us an update of First Phosphate's activities, what you're doing at the moment, and what are some of your resources looking like?
Yeah, so right now we have one property that's the most advanced, that's Lac de l'Orignal. That one is already in 43101. There's 49 million tons in the ground. It's got great secondary recoveries of titanium and uranium along with phosphate. We're now advancing that property to PEA, Preliminary Economic Assessment, which should be complete by the end of this year. We also have another property, Bégin-La-Marche, which is really our superstar upcoming property. It's only 75 kilometers from the deep sea port of Saguenay. We've done some drilling on there, finding exceptional results. There's been some drill results out. We're showing, sometimes up to, 7, 8, 9, 10% phosphate, which is very high grade and very close to the infrastructures. So we're, that's a really promising property that we will continue drilling and hopefully move that into 43101 as soon as possible. We're also working on our concentration pilot plant where we take phosphate, we concentrate it, and then we produce phosphate concentrate, and that will be sent to our partners, Prayon in Belgium, who will be making purified phosphoric acid out of it. And then once we have the purified phosphoric acid, at some point next year, we will be moving that into making LFP cathode active material. So that's really exciting, Rob, because we'll basically be proving out the whole process from, mine all the way to the creation of LFP cathode active material. Some of the other things that we're working on as well, we're looking to upgrade some of our secondary recoveries, which are the ilmenite and the magnetite. Those can be used to make iron powder and iron sulfate, which is also necessary in LFP battery manufacture. So we're slowly gathering the processes and the materials all in one place to be able to really make this en masse. And this is something that's really unique in North America. Nobody has that, or nobody's moving towards that. Phosphate is really rare in North America.
With the mining industry, obviously talking, and I suppose even outside of the mining industry, a lot of people talking about the energy transition. What role will First Phosphate play in that transition?
Yeah, I mean, the role could be massive, right? Like we're looking at just at small EVs by 2030, that will require 700,000 tons of LFP cathode active material in North America. The numbers are similar in Europe as well. I know many of your audience are in Europe as well. But that's just for small EVs. When we start adding on, cars and larger cars, trucks, commercial transportation. Tesla's just moved all its commercial transportation, lightweight trucks to LFP battery. You start adding on top of that commercial energy storage, for hydroelectric dams, solar farms, wind farms, smaller mobility like the skateboards and the e-bikes, and you take a bunch of other uses. And we think that number could be 5 times that. So there's a massive need. There's going to be a massive need for LFP cathode active material. It's a very good, pragmatic, mass adoption type solution. You have to remember when batteries were, first started electrification, everybody went for the perfect solution. Now we're starting to go for, the easy solution, the pragmatic solution, the best compromise. And the LFP battery is that best compromise. It's like, think about when you were in school, right? It's the best all round kind of student, right? Like not the best in all sports, but, good to very good, good to very good in school, follows classmates, follows teachers, like just that sort of really good all round kind of, battery. That's what we have here. So it's perfect on a lot of those scales, and it's getting a lot of traction.
How is the phosphate mined, and what sort of deposits are there out there? And obviously, what kind of deposits have you got?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, Rob. So, 95% of the world's phosphate comes from sedimentary deposit, which is kind of old seabeds. And that's usually got a lot of contaminants in it, like cadmium, uranium, thorium, and they can purify it quickly and to make it into, fertilizer grade, which then goes, onto fields and crops. Just so still almost, 90 to 95% of uses for phosphate in the world are for fertilizer. But only 10% of those sedimentary of that fertilizer grade phosphoric acid can be converted into purified phosphoric acid, which you need for batteries. So, if you're dealing with sedimentary mines, you'll always mostly be a fertilizer producer, right? You won't really be able to create that much purified phosphoric acid to take care of the needs of the downstream technology client, which can be quite high maintenance. However, what's great, about the rock that we have in Quebec, which is only 1% of the world's rock in the world, it's actually phosphate that's kind of been trapped in sort of, volcanic kind of magma type of material. So it's extremely pure. As the elements were settling in the magma, as the magma was cooling, everything kind of went to a different density level. So the phosphate that remained in these pockets, and it's very pure. It has very low sulfur. It has very low arsenic, very low uranium, cadmium, thorium, and anything else that's radioactive or deleterious. So what ends up happening, this is really important, is 90% of this rock can be converted to purified phosphoric acid. So you end up having a mine size that's, an eighth to a tenth smaller than a sedimentary mine. We don't have to do anything. We have nothing to do with fertilizer. Excuse me. We're, 100% focused on technology, LFP, cathode active material creation, and we're 100% focused on our downstream client, which would be the battery cell makers, the battery pack makers, and obviously the automobile makers themselves, and also the large scale energy storage providers as well. So that's really the big difference. And what's really interesting as well is that this rock is so clean and so pure that any of the gypsum slag that comes off of it is fully recyclable. We can make plaster. There's companies that take it already from our partners Prayon, and they use this gypsum to make plaster that is used in building homes. So you have full circularity around the process, which is really important, because with the sedimentary deposits, that's not the case. They create large gypsum slag piles that just remain in the environment forever. It's becoming a big issue. It's contaminating groundwater, et cetera. But with the volcanic rock, the igneous rock, you don't have that same issue.
So what's the market opportunity for the company? And I want you to give us some sort of updates on your financials.
In terms of market opportunity, you mean the longer term industry?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so basically, like I was saying earlier, we believe that this industry, just from really conservative stats, just for EVs, it's a 700,000 tons per annum of LFP cathode active material by 2030, and that's about an 18 billion USD turnover, and that's only in North America. It's probably just as large in Europe. The rest of the world is, another source as well. But we're focused, just on North America. So, we're thinking we're the best positioned in all of North America, where we're setting up all these in situ wet materials, being the phosphate and the iron sulfate, or the iron powder, to make the LFP cathode active material at the Port of Saguenay in Quebec, Canada. And if we captured even 10% of that market, I mean, that's a $2 billion turnover. So obviously, we're not making any promises, but we think that it's the important thing here, Rob, is to prove this out in theory, as we have almost completed, then start moving that into production at a very small scale. And then once you've got that model, just scale up as quick as humanly possible as electrification progresses. So we think the company is in an excellent spot to reap a very large piece of that pie. Obviously, it's all about management, it's all about time, it's all about execution, but we feel we have those strengths to do that as well.
Who is Prayon, and what is the connection?
Yeah, so Prayon is the world's largest producer of purified phosphoric acid. There are only about 4 such producers in the Western world, using a method that is acceptable. There's other producers in China that are producing as well, but under different methods that are not usable from an environmental standpoint in outside of China, really. But there's only really, when you get into fertilizers, there's a lot of companies creating fertilizers, or creating phosphoric acid for fertilizer. But purified phosphoric acid, there's only really 4, and there's only really 2 principal ones that really do the bulk of it, and that's Prayon in Europe, and then you have Nutrien in the United States. But Prayon is not only a leading provider of purified phosphoric acid. They make a lot of downstream products. They have a lot of experience making LFP cathode active material, and they also process igneous rock already. So they're an excellent partner for us. We have an MOU together with them that has an offtake agreement where our phosphate concentrate would be sent to them for their own purposes, but they'll also purify more for us. And they're also, looking at providing their technology directly to us in Quebec, where we could build a facility similar to theirs to make purified phosphoric acid. That's extremely important because they've got 70 years of experience doing this. It's a fail-proof system. They pretty much invented purified phosphoric acid just after the wartime in Europe. And the other thing is we're looking at making LFP cathode active material inside of North America together with Prayon. So it's a great partner. It's a perfect partner for us. Very great relationship with them, and we look forward to some very big things with Prayon and First Phosphate.
Yeah. Why should investors look at First Phosphate, and obviously look at your journey, and why should they potentially invest in you? And also, what are your time frames around what you're looking to achieve?
Yeah, so Rob, that's a good question. So I think the 3 principal elements, why to invest in First Phosphate are, number one, we're inside of North America. We're inside of, the Inflation Reduction Act area. These batteries, LFP, are now 50% of the world's batteries. 90%, if not more, are made in China and Asia. This has to come back to North America in order to get the subsidies under the IRA Act. We're really, I think, the only, true spot of phosphate in North America. Moreover, we've got the very special rock phosphate that is, very rare, not only in North America, but in the whole world. Phosphate is depleting in North America, and we can make a lot of purified phosphoric acid with this rare igneous rock. So basically, it puts us in a really good position in terms of being able to fulfill the amount of LFP cathode active material that's needed inside of North America. And we're on very good infrastructure. We're near the port. We're near the highway. We're in an area that knows industrial activity. There's a big forestry industry in Saguenay. There's also a big aluminum industry in there. People are used to industry, so we can make that material, cathode active material, and ship to all of North America very easily from where we are. There's very direct rail connection already due to the aluminum right down into the automobile industry, heartland of North America. So we're really positioned on those levels to really make this happen. Unlike any other mining company, where sometimes you have a big deposit, but you don't have the feasibility logistically. Like logistically, it is sound, and our capex is kept tight, and we're into value add, and we've got a really clean, I would say, process and focus what it is that we wish to accomplish here.
Wondering if you can just tell us about the management and executive teams or team at First Phosphate.
Yeah, so there's me. I'm the CEO. I'm like the head quarterback. It's something I've done a lot in my life. You know, I've got a very diverse experience in various aspects. I've done a lot of business, private business. I've done capital markets. You know, I've been around the world. I speak languages. I've been always very broad and wide. I'm very focused to detail as well. I've got an amazing team around me. Couldn't do it without them. I've got Peter Kent, who's our president. He's the ex-minister of the Environment for Canada. He's got a very long and distinguished media career as well. He's the spokesperson of the company. Then we have, our chairman of the board, Larry Zeifman, who's, experienced auditor, audits many public companies, keeps us all in line. The list goes on and on and on. We have such a good team around us, but we also have a great group of advisors. Everybody's present on our website. I could go on forever, but we have, very good relations, very good suppliers. I like to think of us as a family. We work very well together, and really excited. Everyone's really excited around First Phosphate. Have a lot of people working really hard and really believing in the concept, and we're developing quite a brand even for ourselves. We're all very passionate about what we do.
And lastly, just wonder what the outlook is for the company over the sort of next 6 to 12 months.
Yeah, so what we're really focusing on right now is obviously we are building our phosphate concentrate pilot plant, which will have 3 separate recoveries of apatite, which is the phosphate, the ilmenite, which is the titanium, and the magnetite, which is the iron. And we're concentrating the phosphate. We already get it to a very pure level, about 40.25%. It's about the purest you can get it out there. Then that has to be sent to our partners Prion to make purified phosphoric acid. So the purified phosphoric acid testing is very important, and then making the LFP cathode active material. And then the next thing that we're looking at is continuing to drill at Bégin-Lamarche to prove out that really great property that's starting to develop. We believe that's world class given its grades and its proximity to the infrastructures. And then at Lac-Lorignal, which is our flagship property, we're moving that one into PEA. And then we're working on the advanced mineralogy around our titanium and our iron recoveries as well. So that's really what we're focused on right now. It's a lot. We're getting there, and that takes us well into next year.
John, really appreciate your time in giving us an update on First Phosphate, and obviously talking about the lithium iron phosphate battery, and give us an update on that as well. So really appreciate your time. If our audience wants to reach out to you, if they've got any questions that they might want to ask you, or they want to follow your story, how can they go about doing that?
Yeah, if they just want to go onto our website, which is www.firstphosphate.com. We're also listed on the CSE, Canadian Securities Exchange, under the symbol PHOS. That's PHOS, like phosphate. In Frankfurt, we're listed under symbol KD0, King David Oscar. That's on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange. I'm always accessible. You can always go to the Contact Us page, and you can send an email through there. You'd be surprised. Sometimes I answer them directly. You can also email me directly if you'd like. I'm John, JOHN, at firstphosphate.com. Generally very accessible. I believe in really strong shareholder communications, and would love to receive any questions from anybody. We'd actually be very pleased to have.
Yeah, we include those in the show notes, the company's podcast, for our audience to have easy access to get in contact with you, and obviously the social media links as well, so they can follow your story. So really appreciate your time, John. All the best for the remainder of the year. If you wanted to come on next year and give us an update on how you're progressing, more than welcome to come on.
Oh, that'd be great, Rob. Yeah, I'd really like to do that. Let's see how we walk the walk, right? Walk the talk, as they say.
Yeah, certainly. Well, thank you for listening, audience. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Obviously, appreciate your continued support. Please share this among other mining professionals that you know in the industry, but also share these podcasts and this episode to other people outside of the mining industry, because we want to sort of educate the wider the wider public that are not in the mining industry, what wonderful industry that we're in. And it's obviously educating those that are not directly involved in mining. So really appreciate your continued support. Please keep sharing these episodes. And until next time, happy mining.
Thank you for listening. Remember to reach out to Rob via the show notes and be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Until next time, happy mining, helping each other to improve the mining industry.